Good evening, lads. Welcome to the latest recording from Last Bolt Boxing. A bit of a mixed bag this week, boys. There's some shows in the UK. They seem to clash with each other. And then we've got a couple of shows in the States with some big fights on. Welcome to the show anyway. Harrison, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, mate. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm not doing bad, mate. I'm not doing bad. Bit of a fumble with the recording tonight, but we'll struggle through, pal. Sean, how are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, not bad, mate. Impressed with your fellow Brightonians' comments this week?
Yeah, it's a bit crazy, isn't it? I mean, you don't hear from him for about 6 months, then all of a sudden he's back on the scene and he's taken over the world. So there we are. He's made some more new friends this week, I see.
Exactly that, mate. So let's crack straight on, boys. Sandy Ryan's back in action in a fantastic fight against Michaela Mayer. I don't know about you boys, but this is probably the best fight that could have got made for Sandy Ryan. Mayer's obviously moving up. Harrison, I'll start with you, mate. Let's start with Michaela Mayer first. She could very easily be going into this fight undefeated.
Yeah, absolutely, she could be, and she probably feels like she should be. I mean, maybe in a professional career, you feel like you've got one fight where you sort of look at and think, I was on the wrong end of a decision there. There's a very genuine case that she's got that from 2 fights in her career, obviously with Alicia Baumgartner quite some time ago, and then Tasha Jonas last time out. She's a very good fighter. She's a really good fighter, and Top Rank have done a very good job with her, making this sort of brand around her, taking her to the UK so many times, and getting her to headline a Friday night card on ESPN's a really, really big thing for her. And they obviously feel like she's still got a real live chance on Friday night, because why otherwise would they be giving her this spot? But I have to say, Sandy Ryan has continued to impress me way beyond what I thought she was capable of. I seen her a couple of years ago. She was on a Dillian White undercard in London, and I didn't make too much of the performance. I thought this is sort of sussing out the good from the bad in terms of female athletes in this country. But then since that, she's gone on and been absolutely brilliant in every single performance she's had. This is tricky. I honestly think this is really tricky. It's good crossroads wise, because they're both at a good level of the career. I think this is the right weight for Michaela Mayer. When she fought Alicia Baumgartner, I thought that there was just too much leverage to give away there. She's a much bigger girl than that, and she might be able to use that to her advantage. How she's got a big size range in there. So I don't know. If it's close on the cards, it's very likely to go to Michaela Mayer, just with the situation of US boxing, especially on the East Coast. So I think she'll probably end up nicking it, but this could go either way. I know, I'm sorry, I'm sitting on the fence there a little bit, but it really is one of those fights. Very, very good fight tomorrow night.
Absolutely, mate. I think it's a banging fight. I've said for a very, very long time, I think Sandy Ryan is the best that we've got, pretty much. I've always said Chantel Cameron's right up there once Katie Taylor's finished. But Sandy Ryan just keeps on getting stronger and stronger and stronger. I personally don't see anyone stopping her. I don't think Michaela Mayer's going to be big enough or strong enough. Sean, what's your reaction? Right. What's your thoughts?
I agree with what you both said, to be honest. I think it's a cracking fight. You know, forget female and male boxing. This is just a good fight, full stop for me. I agree with what Harrison said. I think it's a 50-50 for me, but I think Sandy Ryan will have youth on her side in this fight, and I think that will see her through. I wouldn't even be surprised if she could force a late stoppage, but I have Sandy Ryan winning this one quite handily in the end, I think.
What's she thinking behind that she wins it fairly comfortably? Is it the fact that Michaela Mayer's moving up?
Yeah, that, and I think Michaela Mayer's had quite a few hard fights now.
Well, actually,
and I think, yeah,
I've not got that right, have I? She fought at this weight last time out, didn't she?
Yeah, she lost the world welterweight title last time out to Tasha Jonas.
Very close fight, that. Sorry, Sean. I stopped you mid-flow there, but I had to correct myself. I think this is only a second fight at this weight.
Yeah.
Sorry, Sean. Carry on.
Yeah, and I think the reason I think Sandy Ryan will win a bit handily is I just think she's got youth and and sort of eagerness on her side, really. I think Micaiah Mayer's had a few too many sort of harder fights and harder training camps. Don't forget how long she's been boxing amateur as well. So I just think for her, I think for time wise, and as they say, eye of the tiger, I think that's with Sandy Ryan, and that will see her over the line.
Harrison, what was your prediction?
If I was pushed to give one, I think that Mayer will take a split. I think it's a little bit closer than Sean, personally. I don't think that... I can't see this going 5 or 6 rounds either way, to be honest. But I think just given the whole New York surrounding, I'd probably just go Mayer on a split.
Okay. I'm going Sandy Ryan. I think it possibly goes to points as well. Mayer's very tough. She's very good ring savvy. She knows how to create the space that she's going to need to get between her and Sandy Ryan, because Sandy Ryan will put the pressure on. There's no doubt about that. Very, very tough, Sandy Ryan, and very strong. So Michaela's got to create some space to allow herself to work. I think she'll be able to do that early on, but I think she might struggle a bit later in the fight. I don't think Sandy Ryan stops her, but I do think she wins. I'd like to say unanimous, but we're talking about America, so it's likely to be a split. Yeah, it's likely to be a split. So I'm going Sandy Ryan though on points. Probably going to be fairly close though on the cards, but I don't think it will be. I think she'll win fairly comfortably most of the rounds. Okay, moving swiftly on. Alicia Baumgardner versus Delphine Persoon. Sean, I'll come to you first on this one.
Yeah, it's another good fight. Am I right in thinking it's Baumgardner's first fight back since the potential ban
It is.
Yeah. So I think for her, it's a fight for her to get her name back out there to show people what she can do. I mean, it's a good name for her. Let's be honest. So I think Baumgardner will come back and win on points, and I think again she'll want to announce herself that she's still the girl to beat.
Just before I move on, Sean, and go to Harrison, what's your thoughts and perspective on the whole Baumgardner ban situation? Because it kind of all just disappeared. You didn't really hear a lot about it, and it seems like, okay, well, she's back now.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of similarities for me between her and Conor Benn in given the sense they're sort of serving a ban under the radar, really. For her, she tried to claim, I don't know the ins and outs, but she tried to claim that it was sort of a contamination thing, I believe. And she's tried to sort of free herself from any potential wrongdoings. So it's really hard to know without knowing the full picture. But again, it's just too murky, as we spoke about before, especially with Conor Benn. I think, and unless it's black and white and all the facts are out, it's hard to give a true opinion on it.
Daz?
Hey up, mate.
Welcome to the show, mate. I'm assuming you're travelling back from training.
Yeah, mate. We've just been team meeting, me, Nick, and Ebbs. So tactics.
Okay, I'm not gonna drag you into that because I know you're not gonna give it away anyway. But thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us on the cuff, mate. Much appreciated.
You know what I mean?
Right. Before we move on to Harrison's prediction on Baumgardner and Delphine Persoon, tell me what you think about Sandy Ryan and Michaela Mayer, Daz.
Yeah, good fight. It's a good fight, but I'm a bit disappointed in Mayer. I thought she had a bit more class about her than how she's been acting. But taking that away, it's a good fight. I'm a big fan of Sandy Ryan. Massive fan of Sandy Ryan. I think she's the best welterweight in the world, to be fair. So I'm back Sandy. I think she's hitting hard. She's been spiteful. I think it could be a bit of a really good fight, to be honest. But I think I'm back Sandy on points, to be fair. Do you want an opinion of the Commonwealth Flyweight champion?
Can I just ask you a question?
Yeah.
Is the champ driving?
She is, yeah. That's what I just said. you want the Commonwealth
what you
flyweight
doing, mate?
champ's opinion?
What are you doing, making the champ drive, mate?
Mate, I drive every time, so she can give me a rest. Go on then, Nick.
Wow.
Go on then, Nick.
Wait, who are we doing?
Sandy Ryan and...
yeah, I think it's going to be a good fight, but I think it's going to go points, and I think Sandy wins on points, to be honest.
Top stuff. Thanks for the prediction, champ.
You're welcome.
Harrison, over to you on Alicia Baumgartner, Delphine Pursuit.
Before you ask Harrison,
yeah,
can I just say, Nick, Harrison thinks Chloe Watson would whip you.
What? Yeah.
It's a bit harsh. No, I'm only joking. Love you really, Harrison.
Oh, he's put you right on one.
I'm not having that.
Nah, you've got
Go right in the deep end.
You know me, I'm always up for have a laugh.
Well, now I can't. Now I can't be on the show that week. She's fighting, can I? Can't show my face for about 2 weeks.
Go on then, Harrison. Let's hear your prediction for Baumgartner, Delphine Pursuit, and while you're doing it, give us your opinion on the old Alicia Baumgartner drug situation.
I thought you were going to ask me about Chloe Watson. And do you know what? I think it was handled a lot better than the Conor Benn situation because, like you said.
Oh. I think we're struggling with Harrison's stream there. Daz?
Yeah.
Do you want to jump in, mate, instead?
To be fair, mate, I agree with what Harrison's saying. I think it was handled better. But I sort of switched off from it, if I'm honest, because I thought, oh, again. Do you know what I mean? I like Baumgartner as well. And I was very disappointed. I mean, I was there the night she stopped Terry Harper. And, you know, I thought she was lucky against Mayer. I don't think she won that fight, to be fair. You know, Mayer's been a bit hard done to on 2 occasions, I think. But, yeah, I was a fan of Baumgartner. It just taints it, mate, for me. You know, even though, Harrison, you know, is spot on with saying it was handled better, I don't think anything could have been handled much worse than the Conor Benn situation. But, he's spot on with that. And end of the day, mate, she's going to be fighting again. Let's just hope that no other, you know, tests are failed. But it has tainted me a little bit. But I think she's going to be too much for Pursuit, to be fair. So,
Harrison, you're back in the room.
Yeah,
mate.
back in the room. Sorry, when it rains here, the entire internet on the entire street goes down. It's ridiculous.
No worries, mate. Start again.
Yeah, right. So I was with Baumgartner. Yeah, I just caught at the end of what Daz said there about how well it was handled, and it's so much better when that's done that way because it just keeps everything quiet. And I think it re-energizes your mind to think that she didn't actually do that much wrong in the end, because if she had done, someone in the media in the States would have picked up on that and there would have been more exposure about a B sample or something of that extent. So, and it's until proven guilty, I guess is the best way to put it. In terms of the fight, she's way too good for Delphine Pursuit at this stage in her career. I think Delphine for the last couple of years since that second Katie Taylor fight hasn't been anything serious, significant, to be honest. She's been fighting some pounds. She's not gone on with her career since that fight, to be honest. Back down in weight here again to fight Baumgartner. I just think that David, to be honest. New promotional banner, first fight back since the alleged drug test. There's about 9 million belts on the line, and I think she could win this pretty easily. She might even get an early stop, to be honest, with her soon. She's 14 now, so she's a lot of miles on the clock. So I think Baumgartner might stop the rounds.
Top stuff, Daz. Let's have the camera pointed to the hurricane again, please.
Hello.
Yeah.
There we go, Nick. Nick, thanks for joining us. Much appreciated. I think it's disgusting he's making you drive.
Well, he drives to sparring and everywhere, so got to do my bit.
Right, let's say your prediction on Alicia Baumgartner against Delphine Pursuit.
I think Baumgartner. I think she's too strong, and like she's gonna want to get that win as well. Like after what's happened. It was the first fight back, so yeah, I think Van.
Thanks, mate. Much appreciated. Sean, Delphine Pursuit's not done a lot wrong in her career. You know, you can argue that she beat Katie Taylor in that first fight. I wouldn't call it a robbery because it wasn't. It was a very, very close fight. But there's an argument there that she was very hard done to. Is she just gone to the point where she's past the best?
Yeah, right. As echoing what Harrison said, I think she is, but I think she'll put up a good fight for sort of 2, 3, maybe even 4 rounds, like she often does. Then I think we'll see Van Gardner take over and potentially get a late stoppage. But for Pursuit, she's always in there, always gives her best, and she's had a great career today.
Absolutely, mate. Okay, moving on to what looks like it's going to be an absolutely fantastic fight. Wasserman Boxing Promotion, Channel 5, down at York Hall. Now, Channel 5, as we know, lads, tends to do massive numbers. I think the last couple of shows have done about 2 million. And I think they're always around 1.5, 2 million, which is brilliant, isn't it, for fighters on their shows. It's just a shame. We've had Kaj Sahal, head of Channel 5 Boxing, on the show a number of times. And he's kind of explained a little bit why they only get the 10 o'clock till 12 o'clock slot. And it's a case of him trying to prove to the powers that be that the boxing deserves a bit more airtime. So I think eventually we'll get that. I think Sauerlands need to kind of get a bit of a bigger name on the platform for that to happen. Harrison, you know, you're in the game and lots of games that involve TV. What's your feelings about Channel 5 boxing?
Sorry, can you just say that again? Just can't hear you.
What's your feelings about Channel 5 boxing? They're doing like 2 million views every time they have a show on, but they only have a 2-hour slot.
Yeah. How long's that card? Can you hear me?
Yeah, can hear you.
Yeah. It's pretty easy to explain. The problem is, and ITV were there in the past, in the 80s and 90s, the situation was very similar. Terrestrial broadcasters with any sport, essentially outside of football, aren't going to give high parameters for long-term broadcasting. And that is purely just down to just general viewership. Like you said there, these Channel 5 shows have peaked at around 1.5 to 2.2 million the last year. Amazing. The best probably ever been in the UK. The reason I think that they can't attract a big name is the budget as well. Where you have Matchroom and Queensbury, who have got paid broadcasters in Sky and TNT, they're guaranteed fees for the amount of shows they put on per year, and then on top of that, they've got pay-per-view shows as well. The issue is with Channel 5, all you're getting is airtime. Channel 5 will be paid very little for Sauerland and Wasserman to actually put these shows on, and you can't generate good revenue off the back of that. The other big problem is, like you said there, because they don't have a big name, the type of venues they use in a York Hall, they use Bolton's Stadium quite a bit, the conference room inside there. They've been to Telford quite a few times. These are all 1,000, 2,000 seater arenas. They're not filling out the O2. They're not filling out the Manchester Arena. So they're very limited in what they can actually do. It's an interesting dynamic, really, and I do kind of want to see a big name go over to Wasserman because I think that would be great for the entire boxing. If you have Chris EUBANK or someone like that with a big name who go over and bring a big audience, that's going to help fill out a 20,000 person arena. They had Carl Frampton a couple of years ago, that really helped with Jarrell Herring. But other than that, they're not kicked on, in my opinion. You've got Lyndon Arthur, Charlie Adams, the big names over there, so I want to see a lot from Wasserman next year.
It seems to me, Sean, I'll come to you. It seems to me that Wasserman seems to get a name. They'll keep him for a couple of fights, and then that fighter, once they're, I don't know, it's generally a fighter that has maybe took a loss and they're on a rebuild. A bit like Josh Kelly. He's a perfect example. You know, he lost to Avanesian. He was put out into the wilderness by Matchroom. Wasserman picked him up, put him on Channel 5, had a couple of probably tune-up fights is the best way to describe it, but got lots and lots and lots of eyes on him. Since then, he's been picked up by the big promoters again, and now he's getting big fights. So it seems to me that unfortunately for the Sauerlands and Wasserman boxing, they don't seem to keep hold of fighters. We're going to come on to Chris Eubank's comments very shortly, but he's obviously said not very nice things about the Sauerland brothers, as well as the other promoters. So he's another one. You know, he was a big name for a short period, but you know, even he wasn't on that platform, even though he's with Sauerland. So, what do you think Channel 5 should do?
Yeah, well, I think for me, it almost goes back to what Harrison just said. I mean, they've had Josh Kelly and Chris Eubank under contract, but it must be a budget thing because they can't facilitate those type of fights on Channel 5 because they just haven't got the money. So I think it's all well and good them having the names, but ultimately they'll have to go onto a Riyadh show or a Sky show or a Matchroom show to get paid what the fights allow, really, and the opponents too. So I think there's always going to sadly be an element for them on Channel 5 where they're going to be limited because the budgets don't allow them to have. Well, I would probably put it like this. I guess European fight is probably the highest level we'll see on Channel 5. I can't see them having the budget for a world title or anything like that. So I think, unfortunately, because of the constraints they're under, this is probably the best we can see from the Sauerlands and Channel 5.
Right, I didn't get Harrison's prediction. I'll come back to him in a second. Give me your breakdown of the fight. Fantastic fight, isn't it? That's aimed at you, Sean. Sorry.
Yes, yeah. I've been enjoying the build-up from both of them. Charlie Edwards seems really up for it now. I guess it's almost the second renaissance of his career, really, since he's on this little rebuild. For me, it's actually quite a hard fight to call. I think it's a 50-50, but I think Edwards will just come through on points.
Okay. Harrison, I've seen Thomas Sommer a couple of times now. Boxed out of his skin each time. He seems to be one of these fighters that struggled earlier on in his career. A few losses. But, wow, European champion. How do you see this panning out?
With the former, to be honest, I think Thomas Sommer's had his chances, and he's a strange one, I think, because how many European champions have you seen in 13 and 8? Like that doesn't happen very often, does it? So you've got to give him a lot of credit for getting himself in that position. But like you've said there, in the fights I've watched him in, like Mark H, Thomas Patrick Ward, here to come to mind quickly, he got battered twice, in my opinion. He was miles out of both of those fights, and I don't know what I'm going to get with him, to be honest, in this show. Like, he could be brilliant, he could be diabolical. Charlie Edwards is a weird one because 5 or 6 years ago, you could have been talking about him being the next big thing to come out of Britain. And in the space of about 12 months, he had that really bad loss to that, what was that Mexican lad's name? It escapes me now, when he got hit when he was down. And then Julio Cesar Martinez, that was it. Since then, he's been usurped by his brother. He's tried to fight his brother, made up with his brother, and now he's a mile behind his brother in terms of every bit of stature, in my opinion. So it's all gone a bit pear-shaped, to be honest, with Charlie Edwards. But I think this is a good chance for him to get back to here. And if you're looking for an early stoppage, I don't think he carries the power, to be honest, the way to do that. So I think they'll get a good points decision here and on one point.
Guys, let's say what you've got to say. Charlie Edwards was looking like he was going on to be a world beater, and then things went kind of a bit awry, didn't they? And I mean, I'll be honest. When I first saw the two brothers fight, I thought Charlie was the better fighter. How do you see this? I mean, you've seen Thomas Sommer a number of times, right?
Yeah, I mean, the last one they had was a bit of a close fight. It was a fight of two halves on the GBM show, weren't it?
It was, mate. Yeah.
Listen, I'll be honest. Thomas is an honest pro. You know, he's a nice guy. Met him a few times, but you know, he's not the greatest, is he? Come on. I mean, Charlie Edwards, mate, should. I mean, the fact that he's fighting Thomas Isomba for the European title just shows how much Charlie Edwards has been in Wilderness, to be fair. If Charlie's anything like, Charlie will box his head off for me. Win comfortably on points. I sort of don't like this fight. Not the fight itself, but the narrative with Sonny and his brother. I just don't like it for some reason. It leaves a bad taste in my mouth. You know, I saw an interview with Stephen Smith today who said he would never ever work, opposite to his brothers.
No.
You know, it's personal choice, it's preference. But Sonny, Sonny does what Sonny does, but sometimes I think he just goes a bit too far. You know, end of the day, that's your brother. I don't care how much you fall out or how much you don't like each other. You know, I think when it comes to family, you have the stance that the Klitschko's had. No amount of money will make us fight because our mum will be upset. You know, and them falling out. You know, listen, I wouldn't have thought Sonny and Charlie's mum would be overly happy at the fact that Sonny's in the opposite corner to Charlie. I just don't like it, mate. I'm very big on, loyalty, and if you don't like your brother, then whatever, fair enough. But he was at his last fight, and now he's in opposite corner to him.
Strange, isn't it?
I just don't like it, mate. Honestly, I just think it's a bit. It's a bit. All sorts have gone through my head, mate. All sorts. Even the thought of, is he serving Thomas Isomba up here? Does he, even though he's managing him, is he serving him up to his brother because he knows that his brother's gonna beat him, or is he giving insight to Thomas Isomba every day in the of folks saying, oh, my brother does this, my brother does that. I think even which way you look at it, if it's either one of them, either way it's a shithouse move.
Yeah, it's not a good look, is it?
No, it's not, mate, to be fair. No, not at all. But, I just think Charlie will just outbox him, to be fair.
Okay, so you think Charlie outbox him? Do you think this goes to points then, do you, Daz?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Harrison, let's have your prediction.
For the Charlie Edwards fight?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he'll win on points. I just don't think he carries the power to well bantamweight to get rid of Thomas Isomba, who's starting a lad, to be fair, so I'll take Edwards on a wide points.
And you, Sean?
Yeah, I agree with the guys, Edwards on points.
Okay. So, on to the other two UK shows we have this weekend. One Friday night, one a Saturday night. Strangely, both in the same arena, which is probably unheard of. Let's go with this one first. Matchroom, Sheffield. It's either called, because it keeps on changing its name, it's either called the Park Community Arena or the Cannon Medical Arena. Whichever fighter you talk to, it will tell you differently.
Yeah. Cannon Medical is, I think, official. Cannon
Medical, okay.
Yeah, I think that's the official.
Right. Harrison, we spoke about this off camera. It's not the best of cards. You said you're not surprised because it's had 3 different locations, 3 different headliners. It is what it is. At least we're getting a show on. In the past, you've seen fights and cards get pulled when the first headliner gets pulled off a card. You've got to give props to Matchroom and Eddie Earn for pursuing the fight into the second venue. It's just one of those, minutes. Very unfortunate, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think there's much that Matchroom could have done better, to be honest, in a situation like you said there. There was a really bad stage a couple of years ago where fights were getting pulled left, right, and centre. We ended up going about 2 months back in the UK. And with how diluted boxing is now in the UK, have 3 shows on the same weekend is very funny. And like you said, 2 in the same arena, that's a big first for me in my time in boxing. And I'm really glad that it has gone ahead, to be completely honest. We have a really good main event. We have an important main event as well. I think it would have been bad if it had gone for another season and not defended a world title, to be honest. Whether she's got the right opponent for this, I don't know. But it is important that she's got a fight. It's not too far from her being in Warrington as well. I'm sure she'll have filled a couple of bums on seats as well. So, yeah, it's a good card on Saturday.
Okay. Sean, before we go around getting predictions on certain fights, what's your feeling on this card? Because obviously it's not, we're talking about this isn't the best card at the weekend. GBM's the best card at the weekend. And when have you ever, I like GBM. They go in places, they put some brilliant shows on, but normally in the pecking order, they're behind Matchroom, aren't they?
Yeah, I think as Harrison touched on with the postponements, it can't really be helped. I think it's a bit of a shame they took Cameron Wrong off the card, given how light the show is. I think he would have been best served putting him on this show. But unfortunately, it is what it is with the postponements and with Prograde and Catchall not taking place. Unfortunately, it's what we're left with.
Absolutely. Jazz, you've got insights into this venue. You've had the Hurricane out in this arena.
I want to forget that. I want to forget that. I know because you lost.
What's your
She's laughing.
What's your feeling about the venue?
It's a really nice venue.
Yeah.
Nick likes it, and I think most of the fighters I spoke to that have been on it, they like it. It is a good venue. I mean, obviously GBM do a bit of a big production, so that helps. I think GBM's production would go down well in front room. So,
right.
That makes it. I think from what I've gathered, when Nick obviously fought and did tickets, I think everyone who, no matter what tickets they bought, what value, had a good view, didn't they? That's what they were saying to Nick. Yeah, that's the feedback she got. Everyone had a good view. So, we're value for money on watching the boxing.
So what's your thoughts on our Matchroom might set up this venue?
They'll probably do it similar, mate, to be fair. And yeah, it's going to be as razzmatazz as GBM do it. But yeah, it's going to be a decent production. Terry's always got, a lot of loyal fans who like to hear a bit of Jerry Cinnamon. So that'll probably have the place rocking a little bit. But yeah, I think it'll be all right, mate. I think it'll be decent.
Harrison, everyone hates me saying this, using this phrase, but daring to be great. Terry Harper's daring to be a 3-weight world champion. Come off a really heavy loss last time out. How do you see this fight playing out? Do you think she's going to be strong at this weight, or after being up at a higher weight, does she struggle?
I think you're being a bit discredited when people have a go at you for saying that, because I love that phrase in boxing, to be honest. I love people who want to stay at this level for as long as possible.
Yeah.
It was like at the weekend when Josh Warrington put his gloves on the canvas, that kind of hit home a little bit, because I thought he just knew he wasn't at this level anymore.
Yeah.
And Terry Harper strikes me as the type of character who, if she didn't think she could compete at this level, she just wouldn't. She would go and find something else to do with her career. But she genuinely thinks she's got a chance. I don't think she does have a chance, personally, and that's because I have to sit and give an honest opinion on the situation. And I think there's just strenuous factors, like you said about her being a tough loss last time. I don't think she's great as a welterweight. I never really have, to be honest. She doesn't convince me as a big, powerful puncher. She's taken a lot of damage in the last 5 years as well. Some of the fights she's been in with Maria and Rhiannon Dixon kind of fits into that same category as far as I'm concerned as well. That one against Karen Carvajal really stapled her as one of the real true contenders in the entire global scene for me. So Yeah, I think Rhiannon Dixon's probably just going to prove too good here, to be honest. Best of luck to Terry Harper. She's been around for years. She's a big fan favourite, like downstairs. She'll have sold a good few tickets herself, so she'll give it a good go. But I think Rhiannon Dixon's just 3, 4, 5 levels above now what Terry Harper is at this stage.
Sean, you've heard what Harrison's just said there. Do you think he's been a bit harsh on Terry Harper saying that Rhiannon Dixon's 4 or 5 levels above, or do you think he's spot on?
No, I think his assessment is quite accurate, to be honest. I too think Rhiannon Dixon is fairly good, and I think she'll be too good for Terry Harper. I think Terry Harper probably should have considered retiring before now, just because she, as Harrison mentioned, been in really tough fights, and no one wants to see people going for too long. So I think Rhiannon Dixon will come through this quite well and put the flag down in for her and fly the flag for herself.
Yeah, it's a tough one because I've got lots and lots of respect for Terry Harper. I think to do what she's done, she got that really savage knockout, stood up on her feet to Baumgardner. Everyone would have forgiven her at that point if she'd have retired, as gone out on a shield there. But she then goes up to a weight probably way above where she's been and become world champion. I remember seeing her when she the fight after she lost to Baumgardner. She was her first fight at lightweight. It was on the undercard to Lee Wolf and Conlon, I think, at the Nottingham Arena, and I thought she was very strong. I thought she looked really good. I do have a slight concern, and I'll come to Daz on this because I think Daz might be feeling or might have thought the same way at some point. She put some photos on social media a few weeks back, and she looks absolutely shredded, and that's weeks out from camp. Daz, as a coach, she was in some serious shape a few weeks back. What does that do with a couple of weeks left of camp?
I mean, I don't like to see that about 3 or 4 week out, looking absolutely shredded, like you've not got an ounce of fat on you. You can still be in good shape, and to me, it's got to be timed right. But I worry with Terry. When she fought Baumgardner, she didn't look right, even walking to the ring. She had that same look when she fought Sandy Ryan.
Yeah.
Now, someone who's fought at super feather and then moved up, she had a fight at lightweight, and I thought she looked good. I think that's her best weight, and I've said that for a long time. But then to go up to light middle and now to go back down to lightweight, I don't like that move, if I'm honest.
It's a big draw.
It's what's that going to take out of you? Look what he did to Roy Jones.
Yeah, agreed.
I don't like it. I don't think it's a great move. But I like Terry, and I hope she does well. But I just think that's going to play a part. I think this coming down to lightweight is going to play a part. I can only see Rhiannon winning this fight. Late stoppage points.
Harrison, you think it's quite a wide decision, don't you?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest, if it's a late stoppage as well. To be honest, it kind of just depends what Harper's got in the tank. Dropping 19 pounds to the weight here is just a big
crazy.
Crazy. I'm like, I don't particularly like seeing it. It's just there's a bit of air of desperation about it. I feel like it was just a case of if she didn't take this now at 135 pounds, she was never going to get another world title shot. Obviously, Matchroom are trying to slowly phase her out of the plans for the next couple of years, so she would be a huge inconvenience to Matchroom if she did win on the weekend. So I think it'll be a wide 8-9 round win, to be honest. But if not, then late stoppage.
Sean, sorry, what was your prediction again?
I think either Rhiannon White points, or I think the corner may pull out Terry Harbour.
Well, the boxing romantic in me that likes to see a fairy tale ending to somebody's career wants to see Terry Harper win this fight, lift the belt, and then retire. So I'm going to let my heart rule my head, and I'm going to say Terry Harper on points.
Oh,
Christ. Carl will be having a field day with you right now.
I'm sure he would be. I'm sure
I can
he would
understand you. I can understand you with Lee Wood being blind, rose tinted glasses, but
mate, again, it's just on boxing romantic. The fact that this is probably going to be our last fight. The fact that it makes her a 3-weight world champion.
Boxing and romance don't go together. And I tell you, if she did win, she would not retire in a million years.
Do you not think?
No. She's not even that old. She's only about 28, 29.
Yeah,
but
she would not retire in a million years. Mate, honestly, I'm telling you now, if she wins that fight, she gets lined up with Caroline Dubois.
Oh, why?
Yeah, you might be right, actually.
I'm always right. Always right.
Right, let's quickly go through a couple of fights on the undercard. Like I say, this is not the card it was, for obvious reasons, so it can be forgiven. Peter McGrail against Brad Foster looks like it might be a very interesting fight. McGrail is obviously the one with all the pedigree. Foster's had some great fights though. You know, he's only lost to some really good fighters. He's lost to Cunningham. He's lost to Bellotta and Edwards, Reese Edwards. So he's been in some really good company. I'll come to you first, Sean. How do you see this fight playing out?
Yeah, it's a really intriguing fight, one I'm looking forward to. Peter McGrail, was he the same one that lost in the States and he's slowly on a rebuild? Yeah. So I think for him, it's going to be a big sort of coming out fight, as in on these shores in his rebuild stage. I think he'll have too much for Brad Foster, but potentially for me, this could be the fight of the night on the card.
Absolutely. Prediction, mate?
I think McGrail wins wide on points.
Okay, Daz, come to you next.
Yeah, I remember a time when Brad Foster was touted as, maybe a future world champion.
Yeah.
At one bit. And then, he I don't know, his careers just seemed to have stalled a little bit. He's had some fight, good fights, but it just seems to. I think there was this bit of rumours that he probably weren't applying himself like he should have been in training, stuff like that. But McGrail's obviously, McGrail's class. So listen, it could be a cracking fight. This really could. It could be last throw at dice for Foster. He might think that in his own mind. He might think this is a brilliant chance to get back out there. I just think Peter McGrail will probably be too good, to be fair. I think McGrail will win on points. Fairly comfortable as well.
Harrison, we've seen some upsets recently with fights like this where you've got, the up-and-coming star and you've got a fighter that looks absolutely dangerous, has been dangerous. What's he got left? Do you think we've got one of them, or do you think this?
Well, Matchroom won't thank you for bringing that up because it always seems to be them at the minute who are on the wrong side of their prospects going the wrong way. There's a lot Brad Foster needs to do right here, to be honest, to win. He's been inconsistent for the last couple of years, from when he won that British title outright to the last couple of years. I think the only loss you could probably really let him have is that Yona Beluta one, because Beluta was just way too good that night. But other than that, the Reese Edwards loss, fight he probably thought he should have won. Jason Cunningham, he definitely should have won. So I don't know. I'm a bit confused. I think when you're trying to rebuild a fighter up from a certain position, when they took that loss, like when he lost to Jericho Quinn in America, you need to make sure that they have the right fight at the right time.
Yeah.
This for me is absolutely bang on what Peter McGrail needs in this time at this stage in his career. To be honest, he's had a comeback win where he didn't look overwhelming, to be honest, but it was good rounds of the bank. It helped him just get back out there. Now is where you make the statement. If he can go and either put Brad Foster out or look really, really good against him, get a wide points, then it puts the confidence back in your mind that was a fluke loss to Jericho Quinn. And I do think that's exactly what will happen, to be honest. It's hard to see Brad Foster doing the right things consistently for 10 rounds. I think Foster will start quickly, try put a bit of aggression on the kid and make him feel out of place. But if McGrail can weather that early storm and then build himself into the fight a little bit, I think he'll pull away mid to late and probably a wide points victory. But really important Peter McGrail wins on Saturday night and Friday night rather, and just carries on from that.
You were right first time, Saturday night.
Is it Saturday night? The two shows have done me head in because I keep looking same venue. It's confusing.
Yeah, I think very similar. Pete McGrail is just class, but I do think this is a fight that asks him a lot of questions. You're going to find out what Pete McGrail's heart and guts like in this fight, I think, because Brad Foster's not going away quickly.
No.
I'll be very surprised if he does anyway. Yeah, great fight. I mean, those two fights on that card save it. I mean, the best way to probably look at it is, apart from the headliner, it's probably a next gen card, isn't it?
It's as good as, I mean, maybe Galali 5. Probably it's just good to see him back out. That's quite interesting. I've got a TBA for him here on BoxRec, which is shocking.
Yeah, well, see, I think he's been pulled off the card because he's fighting Sonny Edwards in November.
So you reckon he won't go out at all?
I don't think he'll be out.
Okay, well, that's a shame because he would have probably been a bit of interest to me on the card.
Might be wrong. I might be
well,
wrong.
If he's got a TBA at this stage, then he's probably not fighting, is he? But the weigh-in was dead late tonight, wasn't it? Or is it tomorrow? It's a Saturday show, isn't it? Yeah.
It's a Saturday show's the weigh-ins tomorrow.
But the weigh-in it's not till 7 p.m. Up in Sheffield because I was having a nosy at it.
Yeah, that's normal. That's really strange. It's
very
strange
for
Matchroom, isn't it?
Yeah, and that just epitomizes it essentially just being a next gen in my eyes. Because why are you having weigh-ins at 7 p.m? I don't think that serves anyone any purpose, to be honest. But anyways.
Yeah, very strange. Right, let's move swiftly on to the show that's in the same arena but the night before. Comments in the side, lads. I mean, and I'll ask you boys the same, to be honest. Have you ever seen or have you ever had an event where you've had two different promoters in the same arena one night after each other? Have you ever heard it, Daz?
Never.
No, I mean they're both under the DAZN banner, though, aren't they? So
they are, yeah.
It's not like it's different broadcasters. It's all being broadcast on DAZN. So I think that's probably why it's happening.
It helps as well, don't it? Because they're not going to have to change a lot, are they?
Yeah, exactly, mate. It's pretty much. I would think as well that Matchroom have dictated to GBM how that arena is going to be laid out. So I think GBM will have to conform to how Matchroom want it on the Saturday. Pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the obvious things will get changed. The ring banners will get changed, and the walk banners will get changed, and GBM obviously will do the glitz and glamour like they normally do. I mean, let's talk about that for a second because I've been to a lot of GBM shows now. We're very lucky at our channel, Last Bell Boxing. We're very lucky that GBM have us over every time we want to be there. So many thanks to Izzy, I see, for that, and the team. Very welcoming, very professional. You could see that they were more than a small old show. So I think the best comment I ever heard was from Carl Greaves. Carl Greaves is obviously a promoter himself, does his own shows, manager and trainer, and the comment he came out with was they're a TV promoter without the TV. It's the best comment you can make because they're massive, really, and the production's fantastic. So let's jump straight into it then, guys. I mean, I don't know. I don't know where the best place to start is on this. Don't just start at the top end or the bottom end, because wherever you start, it's fantastic. Hughie Fury's back out. He's fighting German Christian. Is it pronounced Thun?
Fun.
I think. Yeah.
With a 9-1 record. Hughie's just slowly building, isn't he? Getting his fitness back. He's been out of the ring a long time. He's had a couple of quick fights. Daz, I'm going to put it on you a little bit here. Do you think Hughie Fury gets back to being right up there in the heavyweight division?
Listen, I think he can get back into contention. I don't think that's, you know my thoughts on this heavyweight division in this era. I mean, I think he can get back into contention. Yeah, I mean, I've been hearing some rumours about this guy, this Christian Thun. He's been over here for 5 or 6 weeks, and apparently he's really, really up for this, and he's been causing a few waves in sparring. Apparently,
Right.
apparently, a couple of people who have sparred with him have said he's extremely heavy-handed, and these guys have shared the ring with the usual suspects as well. So apparently Christian Thun's very heavy-handed. I mean, his record's not great, even though for the people on it. I mean,
yeah,
it looks well. 9-1, I think 7 KOs. Some opponents are probably questionable, but some guys are actually saying that actually one guy actually told me that he reminds him of David Price.
right.
Very tall and an absolute sledgehammer puncher. So I think you can read a lot into things like that. You can probably read too much. I mean, people can spar and not have the best spar, and they can either make an excuse that they're not very well, or they can make an excuse that the guy who the spar's great. Do you know what I mean? It's the sparring tales. But listen, if any of that is true, Hughie, he's gonna have to be on it. Because if he's not, it could be a banana skin. And if he loses this, it's a bit of a disaster.
Yeah, no, yeah, absolutely understand that, mate. Harrison, Peter Fury never, ever, ever matches Hughie Fury softly.
Mm-hmm.
His attitude is get in there and get the job done. If you're not good enough to get the job done, then that's you done.
Yep.
Oh, proper old school throwback, isn't he?
Yeah, and I love it. I think it's class. I really do. And the one thing I think I've loved about Hughie Fury in the last 12 months is the activity that he's had, where he's been able to bounce from these GBM to boxer shows and just basically kind of just say, I'm ready, give me the fights, I need me minutes, I need to put people out, let me do it. He's been given the opportunities and good on him. It's good to see a modern heavyweight fighting this frequently, because we've talked so much about how it's difficult to compare that of past generations, because you had like Mike Tyson fighting every 2 months around the world, compared to these days you get Usyk and Fury and whatnot fighting maximum once a year if you're lucky. So yeah, it's brilliant from Hughie Fury. I don't know anything about this Christian Thun. Everything that I've just learned has just come from Daz and his comments there. So it's very difficult to make a sort of prediction on the fight. But Hughie Fury, again, 8 rounds. That's all I want to see, to be honest. I don't care if he doesn't get a knockout. I just want to see him gradually build his way up. Like you said, there his old man's very good for that, where he won't put him in an easy fight, because at this stage in his career, that's futile. He needs to be tested on Friday night, and hopefully he is a little bit. But then at the same time, obviously, we all want to see Hughie Fury come through this in flying colours, really.
Same question that I asked Daz. Does Hughie Fury get back to the top end of heavyweights?
So tricky. You can't say no, absolutely. I think it would be so unfair with where he's been in his career prior to say no. There's 100% no way. But then at the same time, it's hard to say 100% yes either. The division's going to change now in the next couple of years. The timing's going to work out for him. Usyk and Fury are both into the late 30s. Anthony Joshua after Saturday night, there's so many questions about what he's got left at that top level. Joyce is old, Zhang's old, Parker's mid 30s now. So there's a time scale for him there to be in the new generation of heavyweights like Dubois and others. So maybe is my answer, to be honest. I hope so, because I do like Hughie Fury. He's a good character. So I wish him all the best, but at this stage, I'm on the fence with that one, unfortunately.
Sean, Hughie Fury seems like he's been around for absolutely ever. And that's because he was fighting world champions at a very young age. Again, his dad matching him really hard, testing what he's got, knowing that a loss doesn't mean the end. He's back now. He's still fairly young. He's still got plenty of life in him. What do you think? You've listened to the two boys so far. What do you think for Hughie Fury's future?
Yeah, I think he's still got the time on his side, and he's still got a lot to give, in my opinion. But there's only so many of these type of fights he can continue to have. Really, that he needs to be let off the leash sooner or later. Fight of Fabio Wardley, the winner of his fight, maybe even a Fisher. You know, so someone of a note, but before long, because we really need to see him tested and see the level he is at. And well, we only get sort of small snippets against these type of opponents, in my opinion.
Yeah. Okay. Maxi Hughes is back out in the 6th rounder against, bear with me on this, Estasios Antonos, I think his name is.
I reckon you've smashed that.
Cheers, mate. Appreciate that. I'll give myself a little. Maxi's been dealt a really hard deal, Antti. Let's have it right. He's come on leaps and bounds. People never thought he'd get to the limit he got to. You know, everyone knows what happened with the Kambosos fight. He got absolutely robbed. And then he goes into a fight against an absolute killer in William Zepeda. And there's no shame in the way that fight went, because Zepeda's going to go on to be an absolute star. Harrison, I'll start with you. What's Maxi got left?
Oh, well, I mean, if you'd asked me 5 minutes after the William Zepeda fight, I would have probably give you a little different answer in retrospect. Yeah. But I think you're bang on there. I think that there's going to be no damage done. There's going to be no stock lost in the Zepeda fight, because he will go on to win multiple world championships. I'm sure of that. Will Maxi Hughes do that? Nah, probably not. But he's obviously still feels like he's got something left. He's 34 now. I mean, 7 losses on his record. It's kind of difficult to path him back into the top of the lightweight division, really, isn't it? And the lightweight division now is arguably the most stacked in boxing, to be honest. The amount of killers you've got in there at the very top. 6 rounds is interesting. I mean, I don't love that, to be honest, because it doesn't. The thing is, it's going to be one of those passing fights where I think he'll do 6 rounds and we won't really see anything that'll tell us what's changed or what's developed. I think this is more a fitness thing than anything else. Obviously, he's in there with a dead opponent in every respect. So I don't like the fight, but it's great for GBM to have a name like Maxi Hughes on the card. He's obviously still one of the bigger names in British boxing. So again, kind of similar to Hughie Fury, is what I wish the best for, because he seems a good character. The Kambosos fight, I can die on the hill and say that's probably the worst robbery I've watched live. Maybe Catterall Taylor, but like that was right up there. I was astonished. Actually, when I read the cards, I thought that's a good unanimous decision for Maxi Hughes. And then they went George Kambosos. I honestly couldn't believe it. But look, the best of luck to Maxi Hughes in the back end of his career. I do hope he gets back into some level of the lightweight division.
Sean, quick prediction for this fight. I think Harrison's pretty much covered. You know, the way Maxi's career might end up going now. Let's have a prediction off you.
I think Shoots will win late stoppage.
Say that again, mate. You froze there.
I think Maxi will win by stoppage.
Yeah. I mean, I've got to agree with that. I mean, we're only talking 6 rounds here. I think, you know, there's a good chance it goes to points, but a clear win for Maxi. Daz, absolute scandalous that Maxi Hughes never got a rematch with George Kambosos.
Yeah, it were. I mean, listen, I look at Maxi now, and I don't, like Harrison says, I don't see a way back into fighting for world titles. To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if in another couple of fights he doesn't get put in with Cameron Wong, if I'm honest. You know, Cameron's got Gavin Gwynn next. Expect him to come through that. Then Maxi come through this. Maxi maybe have one more, I don't know. But then I wouldn't be surprised to see Maxi in opposite corner to Cameron Wong, to be fair.
Okay, moving swiftly on then, boys. These next 3 fights, I'm not going to put them in any particular order because I think that any of them could headline this show. Any of them could be set as a co-head. So we'll go with Reece Mould, Ryan Walsh, 10-round lightweight fight. Reece Mould, Daz, is never ever ever in a dull fight.
No, he's not. He's always in a good one, mate. Reece is. Yeah, I mean the one with Ahmed Gaz was an absolute cracker. You know, absolute belter of a fight. That. Yeah, he is, mate. He's always in a good one, and I think this one will be the same. I think Ryan's on the downward spiral, should I say, in his career. I just think Reece is going to be too strong. You know, just too strong for him. I fancy Reece wearing him down late, to be honest. And I think it'll be a good fight.
It was an absolute pleasure being in the arena for Reece Mould against Gaz.
Yeah.
They tore the ass down. It was such a roller coaster of a fight. It looked like Reece Mould was going to knock him out within a couple of rounds. Gaz found something from somewhere and ended up putting it on Reece Mould at the end. What a brilliant fight. What you've also got to think about is the travelling contingents that Reece Mould brings to an arena. They're absolutely deafening. I mean, they took over the venue that night. They took over the weigh-in that night. The night before, it was just brilliant to see. Sean, Reece Mould.
I echo what Daz said. Really, I think Reece Mould will have too much and potentially stop Walsh late. But what a cracking fight it's going to be for however long it lasts.
It's a shame that he got injured a while back and he had to pull out of a fight last minute. That was on a GBM card as well, and he was on a bit of a roll. I mean, I don't know where it would have took him. Harrison, do you think he gets to the point where he gets a shot at a world title?
I really hope so. I really hope for Reece Mould's sake that he does, because you would struggle to find a better character, but also a more exciting fighter in Britain right now than Reece Mould. You three have all got it spot on. He's just an absolute domestic live wire. I'm a massive Reece Mould fan. There's a long way to go to get to the stage where we start talking about world titles. I think in some instances he's probably unfortunate he's not coming into this with 6-7 straight wins on the bounce, because the Gary Cully fight last time out could have gone either way. I'm not saying Cully lost the fight. I think that was genuinely one of those, like, I wasn't going to be angry with either decision, to be honest, but I didn't think he'd push Cully that far pre-fight, and then they had a really good scrap over 10. He can maneuver himself into a world title situation. I think it's way easier for him around the lightweight 140 limit than it is for someone like Maxi Hughes now, because he's got youth on his side and he's got following, and before long he could end up with an even bigger promoter than GBM. That wouldn't surprise me if Matchroom or Queensbury decided to pick him up. So yeah, he has got potential, to answer your question, but it's a bit too early to know for sure if he's going to get a world title shot.
Do you know what? I think he's in the sort of position in his career where he could get picked as a voluntary.
Yeah,
I mean, look at his record and go, yeah, he's a good name. He's had some great fights.
Yeah. I mean, I think that. I mean, I'd need to look at the rankings and refresh my mind, but I do think that, you know, if he sticks himself in a good position with the WBA or the IBF, the way the lightweight titles are at the minute, I do genuinely think you could be right. You could force himself into a mandatory or a final eliminator quite easily. It's only going to take 2 or 3 wins. Don't discredit Ryan Walsh, though. I don't think this is a completely clean and easy fight for Reece Small to win. He should be too good for Ryan Walsh, but, you know, Walsh, former British champion, and still plenty to offer. I'm gutted this isn't over 12 because I think that if this became a test of stamina, it'd be fascinating to see how Reece Small does with those later rounds. Like in a couple of his fights, he does tend to just sort of, because he puts so much into the early and middle parts, that he does seem to fade from times, in my opinion. So it would be interesting to really see if he goes up to 12 rounders eventually. But I'm really excited for this. I presume this is the main event, anyways.
I mean, very possibly. But you look at there's two other fights on the card, both for titles. So
yeah, it's a weird one.
Yeah, it could be either of the 3. So we'll go with the next one, which is for the Commonwealth Super Bantamweight female title. Tycee Gallagher against Tori Ellis-Willits. Tycee Gallagher, obviously, last time out, beat Stevie Levy for the title. This is Willits' first 10-rounder, which might play into this fight. Daz, being the coach of a Commonwealth champion, let's get
and
your
a former world champion. Don't forget
and a former world champion. Let's get your breakdown. Let's get your opinion, mate, first.
I were a bit worried about Tori being at this weight. I mean, me and Nick were discussing it on way out tonight. I were a bit worried about Tori being this weight because Nick actually fought Tori as an amateur.
Yeah.
And I said, you know, she's spent most of her amateur career as a flyweight, and then to fight as a super bantam. You know, I always don't like that. I mean, Frankie Gavin did it as fought as a lightweight as an amateur, and then turned pro as in like a light welter. And sometimes it always rings a bit of something back in my mind about ill discipline sometimes. But Nick actually said to me when she was fighting as a flyweight, she was killing herself to make fly and super fly.
Right.
She says, when it was wrongly announced on the poster that she was fighting as a flyweight at one point, and Nick went, I was like, no, I can't believe that. She struggled to make fly and super fly, so she possibly could be quite refreshed at this weight. They've had a lot of back and forth. I mean, Tycee put the head into her today, which I don't like to see from the men. You know, I don't like to see it. I think it's very, what's the word? Very immature, there's just no need for it. Tycee's a very vocal fighter. She's fought the by far better opposition. Tycee's been known for calling out certain fighters as well at some points. She has a lot to say. This is obviously going to be a tougher test, I'd say, than Stevie. I think this is a genuine pick'em, to be fair. I think you could probably toss a coin. Obviously, the foremost, with the amateur pedigree, Tori. But as much as what sometimes Tycee gets me goat up with some of her behaviour and her mouth, I think she's actually quite good.
Yeah.
She in flashes she boxed beautifully against Stevie. And I judge it on. I look at them as well, and I'm not overly convinced that Tori belongs at this weight. Maybe bantam, I'd be a bit more confident in her. Tycee's fought the better girls, obviously. She had Nina Hughes. She actually fought for a world title. So listen, I think Tycee's going to win this. I think he's going to win it on points.
Okay, Harrison, what's your take?
Yeah, the last comment there from Daz is brilliant. I thought she doesn't fill out as a super bantamweight as well, I don't think, as some of us do, and I do think that she should look to have dropped those 4 pounds at some stage in her career. I think she'll bounce quite a lot between the two weights, to be honest. I think she can be very effective between both. Good needle, unnecessary needle, I think is the best way to describe it. The build up, especially today with the ads going in, I didn't like that at all. It looks a good fight on paper. It's a shame that the British title's not been reinstated for this. That whole scenario, I've been trying to fill in what I can with the gaps, but I can't really understand why it's not being sanctioned again, to be honest. But it just kind of deflates the fight a little bit. What was the point in making the British title and then not having an inaugural defense for it? It's a bit silly to me. Tori Ellis is very good. Like Dad said there about the amateur, she was in the World Championships. I think it was either 2018 or 2019, and she did very well there. Had a long time off. Since she's turned pro, she's been fine, fighting easy wins. The big problem here for me is she's stepping up to a 10-rounder from a 6-rounder, and prior to that, it was all 4-rounders, and that I think is a big problem. That's going to be a long 20 minutes in there with Tycee Gallagher, as far as I'm concerned, and I think that the champion's probably just a little bit too good for her. I don't think, like, if Tycee Gallagher was a bigger puncher at super bantamweight, I would suggest she might get a stoppage here. But like I said, I don't think she fills out 122 pounds as well. So I think the Tori Ellis will get 10 rounds out of her, or will be lucky to win more than 2 or 3 of them, to be honest. And I think Tycee will win this pretty well.
Okay. What was your prediction on this, Sean?
Yeah, I agree. I think Gallagher will win on points. I haven't seen a great deal of either of them, to be honest. But what I have seen, I've been impressed with Gallagher.
Okay, you think she wins?
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to the fight that I actually think will be headliner. I'm not sure how this. I've not seen the weightings or anything. But Shaquille Thompson is a fighter that GBM are heavily behind. He's not really put a foot wrong. Currently 12-0 with 8 KOs, but he's going in against a very experienced operator in River Wilson Bent. This is a serious fight, lads. River Wilson's Bent record doesn't look amazing, but when you look at the people that are on his resume, the likes of Tyler Denner, Hamza Shiraz, Amo Williams, Ryan Keller, to name a few, he's got some serious experience. I think Shaquille's only done 1 10-rounder, which was the last fight out. This is for the IBF European and the WBO Global Middleweight titles. Harrison, you've probably seen much more of River Wilson Bent than you have of Shaquille Thompson, I'm guessing. Mm-hmm. Try and break the fight down for me on what you know of each.
Yeah. Fantastic middleweight fight this. Between 2 good operators, probably at around about a similar level now at the different stages in their career. It's easier for me to start with River Wilson Bent because, like you said, that I've seen quite considerably more of him. Like I'm sure most people would have, because he's been on Matchroom shows a lot, on Queensberry shows quite a bit. So it's easy to start with him. Like you said there, yeah, there's 4 losses on his career, but the losses that he's taken, you can work around them quite easily. I think that's probably just a case where he fell into a good crop of British middleweights who, at the minute, are dominating the world scene for me, in my opinion, the likes of Hamza Shiraz and several others. So I can excuse him.
The only fight that's been an absolute blowout is the Hamza Shiraz fight in 2 rounds.
Which is like, look how that's aged compared like on Saturday night. So there's nothing to really worry about that. He got a draw against Tyler Denny, who up until Saturday night looked like a real player in middleweight, bless him. But either way, plenty there to like, and he's on a bit of a roll now as well, River Wilson Bent. I seen the Shaquille Thompson, the European fight on the GBM show last time out. Very, very impressed. I thought there's a lot of good fundamentals there. For a hard puncher, he's actually very technically astute, I think, to be honest. He's very good on his feet. I like what he's able to do with his hands quite a bit. There's a lot there that I do like. This is tricky because if River Wilson Bent he uses his experience that he's and he takes the 10 rounds with them. Like you said, that Thompson's only done this once. You can make a really good case for a semi-upset. I don't think it would be a major upset if Wilson Bent won this, to be honest. But I like the matchmaking from GBM. It's the perfect fight because if Shaquille Thompson wins this, what he can then do with that European and global title is really push on towards a world title. And it's not crazy to think that there's going to be a world title fight on GBM before long because of the way the status of the middleweight division at the minute. Shaquille Thompson could easily be fighting any of those 4 champions and have a good chance if he wins on Friday night. I'm gonna go Shaquille Thompson. Bite my tongue with that one a little bit. I wouldn't have a bet on it because I think they're way too hard to split. But I'm gonna go Shaquille Thompson to get done on points very close.
Sean?
Yeah, I agree. I think potentially this could be the best male fight of the weekend for me. I'm really looking forward to this one. I think Thompson will come through 2 on points. I think it'll be close. I think there's a sort of cigarette paper, as the old saying goes, between them both really at this stage. I think potentially for the winner, Josh Kelly could be a potential good fight for them next. So it's going to be interesting to see how they push the winner. And as I say, I think Thompson will just come through.
Daz, you've seen Shaquille Thompson up close a number of times. He oozes self-confidence. Has he got enough experience currently to topple River Wilson Bent?
Yeah, I think he has. I mean, I think it's fair to say he uses confidence, but he uses it in a classy way as well.
Absolutely, mate.
He's a really nice kid. He's Shaquille, really nice kid. You know, feet on the ground. Sort of knows how good he is, but he'll let you tell him rather than he'll tell you. Do you get what I mean? He's that kind of person.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
You know, he's a breath of fresh air. He's ever such a nice kid. And listen, I think he's going to stop River Wilson Bent around 9-10.
Okay, that's a big shout.
Yeah, I do, mate. He's just very, very, very good. And I mean, what a crop of middleweights we've got.
Yeah, no, it's a great little division into
I will. You know, and listen, I'm not cheapening Shaquille at all because I really rate Shaquille, and he's, like I say, he's ever such a nice guy. But I think there's a few middleweights who would, they can't wait for a certain Mr. Shiraz to move up. You know, but listen, there's no shame in that because that kid's special. But listen, this is Shaquille's night. And listen, even if it comes to it, he's going to give anyone problems, Shaquille, even anyone above him, because he's very good. And he's only going to get better. So, for me, yeah, I think Shaquille's going to stop him around 9 or 10.
Okay. Right, moving on then, boys. Last topic of the night. I thought I'd throw this in as a little cheeky one. There's been lots of publicity around this. Chris Eubank Jr.
Andy, mate, you're a scumbag.
Where do we go with this? He's talk about shoot yourself in the foot. I mean, I'm gonna start with you, Sean, because you live in the same city as the guy.
Yeah.
I mean, it beggars belief that a guy of what he comes across as having such intelligence, he seems to manage himself really, really well, gets himself into fight positions he shouldn't be getting himself into. Yeah, he's not signed a few of them, but he gets himself into them positions. And then he has a brain fart and comes out with the comments he's come out with. He's completely alienated himself from 3 of the 4 promoters in the UK. He's left with Ben Shalom. And I'm sure after this fight, he'll alienate himself from Ben Shalom as well. Just bizarre. Sean, try and break down what Chris Eubank must have been thinking in his head when he spoke to down that mic.
I think he probably had a sour taste in his mouth from the start when he was on the bottom table with the other guys, to be honest. You know, he likes to be this big star. He drives around the city in his McLaren. He parks on the yellow line. He doesn't care. And I think his ego's just got to him at this point where it's got to be the Chris Eubank show at all costs, unfortunately. And I think it really eats him up, the fact that he's not a big star here like he thinks he is. Because at the end of the day, people can take or leave him. He once had the idea he was going to sell out the football stadium, the Amex here in Brighton. He's bitter as well that Harlem EUBANK's the most popular EUBANK out of the two of them in the city as well. Harlem's the one that's affiliated with the football club. So he's just a bit bitter, really, and it wasn't surprised to see that at all at the press conference, if I'm being honest.
You've actually stolen my thunder for my next question. I was going to ask you, how's he perceived?
Yeah, I mean, he's dad. Everyone loves Chris EUBANK Senior. You occasionally see him driving his monster truck around Brighton. He's a bit of a celebrity here, but as far as his son goes, no one can stand him, to be honest.
Harrison, what can we say about this? It's just another chapter in the saga that is Chris EUBANK Jr., and none of them have been because of his boxing.
Don't like the bloke. Don't know why we keep giving him airtime. I don't like that you've thrown this in. It's just, I get you have to talk topically about the sport, the good and the bad side of things, because it's like any sport. Like I have it a lot in horse racing where we've got things going on all the time that we don't want to talk about, but have to because it's how you promote a sport, unfortunately. But I just don't like the bloke. It's just a bit unbearable, I think. It's hard to argue with anything Sean's just said and what you think as well. And why you would do that, given the highs that Saudi boxing is on at the minute, especially, like they're the last people you want to fall out with in this sport. It just doesn't make sense to me. It's like if you want to be a professional footballer, the last people you want to fall out with is FIFA. That's exactly what it's like. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But look, it is what it is. Like you said there about the alienating himself from promoters. It's not just in the UK as well. Like he was signed to PBC at one stage. He had fights over in America. Nothing prevailed. He's not a big name over there by any stretch. And okay, he's a big name in the UK. I've got two big problems with him though. He's not a big name where he's from, and he doesn't fight often enough to be consistent anywhere. I went to both the Liam Smith fights in Manchester, and they both sold out, and they were cracking atmospheres, both of them. But that was probably more just all Liam Smith, really, on both occasions, because you had a lot of scouts coming up for it. He doesn't have a strong fan base. He's not familiar with the UK. If his last name wasn't EUBANK, you wouldn't know who he was, as far as I'm concerned. It's all his old man, really. Yeah, I don't like him. Done.
He's still making noise. He said it in the press conference. This is a tick over, and then it's clearing up the world titles in the division. How many times have we heard this from Chris?
A lot. Listen, I'll offer a little different perspective on it. He sort of slagged off everyone apart from the main man, didn't he? He didn't slag Shalom off, and he definitely didn't slag Turkey off. But I'll be honest with you, if what he said has happened with Warren and Sauerlands is true, fair play to him. If he can prove that, in a court of law, fair play to him. I'm one of them. Listen, you know me. I speak my mind. If I've got something to say, I'll say it. Now, if that has happened to him, right, which I'm not saying it has, I'm not saying it hasn't, and if he's got proof of this, then I would, I'd say, listen, fair play to him. He's caused a bit of controversy. He's brought some attention to himself, and he's done it while also kissing Turkey's feet and not upsetting him. And obviously, praising Ben Shalom. How long that lasts with Ben Shalom, I don't know. He goes through promoters like he goes through trainers quick. I think the only thing he's stuck with, or I've known, is his car. He's just... Yeah, I mean, listen, I think I was having the conversation about him yesterday with someone, and for me, he's underachieved, because I actually think he's got some ability. When I first saw him turn pro, His first fight, you thought, yeah, he come down to simply the best with his dad. And I thought, yeah, he's got that out of him now. He's got that out of his system. He's paid homage to his dad. Now let's have your own, your own sort of career. Take your own path. And I think if he'd have done that and been taught to box in a different way rather than like his dad, because he doesn't have the one-punch power that his dad had. His dad could get away with not landing a punch for, 11 rounds, and then he'd just need one. There's a famous story with his dad going to spar Errol Bomber Graham. He was there for Monday to Friday and never laid a glove on Errol until the last spar on a Friday, and he landed one shot and Errol went down. But yeah, Chris Jr. don't have that kind of power for me. No. Very good engine, very good chin, reasonable power, quick hands. Build on that. I think his career is a bit of a disappointment, if I'm honest. It's a bit mad to say that about someone who's probably got more money in the bank than I will ever have or I'll ever see, which fair play to him. But I think there's going to be some regrets there for him, if I'm honest. But like I said, with this promotion thing, he's come out and said these things, and like I say, if these things have happened, good on him. Fair play to him. But you've got to be able to back it up, and I'm not so sure that Turkey likes this kind of stuff because they put an apology on both of them, didn't they? Or Frank Warren was accepting EUBANK's apology, and I think Turkey's basically put his foot down and not having this.
Yep.
Which fair enough, but. Yeah, listen, I'm not convinced by EUBANK. I don't think he'll ever go anywhere near Shiraz. I mean, what does he do? Who's he going to fight after this? What's he going? I just no idea. In fact, to be fair, I'm going to echo Harrison a little bit. I've no interest in seeing him fight. You know what I mean? Unless it was Shiraz, but even then, I think Shiraz had just beat him up. So I've no interest, if I'm honest, in seeing him fight.
Other than the Conor Benn fight, maybe.
Even that, mate, I'm not interested in that because do you know what, right? And I'll give him his due with this. The point he put across to Eddie Hearn was, I sort of agreed with that. He sort of said, listen, you were going to... Now, whether Eddie Hearn knew about Conor Benn's extravagant lifestyle, with the performance enhancers, whether Eddie knew or not, which that's another debate. But I could understand him being a little bit gripey about that because listen, Conor was on steroids, he was doing this, and you were prepared to let him fight me. So that's between Chris and Eddie to thrash out. But he's just, I've just got no interest in him. You know what I mean? I just think...
You know what, Daz? It's easy for him to say, in hindsight, Eddie Hearn, you're bad for this. Eddie Hearn, you're bad for that. Eddie Hearn, you was going to put a drug cheat in the ring with me. He was told what that result was. He went and sought medical advice, and he was happy to carry on with that fight, Daz.
Yeah.
He was prepared to carry on fighting. So you can't have it both ways. He would have got paid some seriously staggering amount of money for that fight if it had carried on. Obviously, I don't agree that it should have. But at the end of the day, you can't, in hindsight, slag a promoter off for trying to keep that fight going when as a fighter, you agreed to carry on. You agreed to fight. You agreed to...
I think it's suicide slagging any promoter off, to be fair.
No, of course it is.
Because if you need, you may need him at some point.
Yeah.
But like I say, fair play to him. If what he said is true,
Not a chance, mate.
Well, I mean, who knows?
Okay, then. I'll put it like this, right? If it's true, have the courage of your convictions, mate. Don't put them comments out there and then in less than a day retract them because you make yourself look a mug.
Yeah, I mean, I think
And
we
he's
all
not a
know
mug,
what,
is he? He's not a mug.
No,
but he makes himself look that way.
Yeah, but I think we all know why he's retracted him. I don't think he's retracted him because, you know, they may be not true. Listen, we don't know if they are. We don't know if they aren't.
Then don't say him in the first place, Daz.
But if he's got evidence they are, and that's why he said it. But listen, then when Turkey comes along and says you take that back and apologise or show off the card, you'll never box.
I'm sure that's what's happened. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But then don't say it in the first place because you can put yourself in that position.
Well, that's for him to deal with, innit? You know what I mean?
I'm with Sean on this. I think it was complete desperation. The comments he come out with were complete desperation. He wasn't on the top table. He wasn't the highlighter on the show, and he needed to create something to put the focus on him. And he's done it because we're talking about it right now.
Yeah, possibly, mate. I won't rule that out. I mean, I think there's other ways you could have done it. He could have done it rather than how he did it, if that was the aim of him. But I think, I don't know, he's a funny one, isn't he? I don't think he knows what he's thinking sometimes. It's, you know, I just think, yeah, I mean, I don't know, mate, to be fair.
He should walk away from the block.
Listen, who's to say it's not a ploy between them all to bring some attention to everything?
Well,
I've seen some bizarre shit in this boxing game, and I tell you what,
maybe, mate.
And I tell you what, if Ern, Warren, and EUBANK Jr. were having a coffee, and they come up with this to do this to get loads of views and drum up some interest and this out of her, I wouldn't be surprised, mate. Would call me cynical, what you want. I won't be surprised.
Right, lads. On that note, I'm going to bring the show to an end. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on again, as always. I love the different aspects of the topics we've been talking about. So thank you very much for that. Just for people that may be watching the show for the first time, we've got some great content on the channel at the minute. Just recently, we had formerly the #1 matchmaker on the planet, still a manager, Roberto Diaz, talking all things boxing, particularly Canelo and his relationship with Canelo over the years. We've had James Hagler, the son of Marvin Hagler, talk about his dad and finding a path for himself in the boxing career. We've had the controversial, very outspoken, as he calls himself, boxing lifer, Rick Glazer, talk about loads of different topics. He's never short for an opinion, Rick, as people may have seen on Twitter. Check those interviews out. And we've got also an interview with the widow of Tommy Morrison, Tricia, talking about what in my opinion, is the biggest scandal in boxing history. I'm not going to talk any more about that. I'll let you watch the video to make your own opinion up. But it's staggering. I'll say that. But anyway, thanks for joining. We do this show every Thursday, normally live, 7 p.m. We also do a review show on a Sunday, normally 6 p.m. So like, comment, subscribe, hit the notifications button, and you'll get all the latest stuff come on the channel. This has been Last Bell Boxing, proudly sponsored by LW Liftings and SC Travel. Thanks for joining us, guys.
See you later, boys.